All right. We have so far had, I think, 4 lectures, of which one we did a case. Am I right? And in the other 3 lectures, just to recap, we talked of what is the behavior, style, role, all right, and functions and activities. We also talked about what is a successful manager or leader and what is an successful versus effective or efficient? Effective. And we defined it how?
Effective is doing right things and efficient is doing things right.
Okay, good. A little more depth. What are the kind of actions most of the time that an efficient manager does or effective manager does, and what are the actions most of the time which a successful manager does? Effective manager. Out of 8 hours that he has in a day, most of the time what does he do? He does networking, right? Networking. He builds networks. And how have we defined the successful manager?
Successful manager does
It's a definition which we are given for our research study.
growth in the organization.
Come in front. Come. Ashutosh, one seat on the back. This is a small class. Let us empathize with each other. Yeah, tell me, Ashutosh, how have we defined what does successful manager and what is a effective manager? Successful is that manager who
grow very fast.
come in front, gentlemen, who grow very fast. That means he gets quick promotions, right? An effective manager,
Who get his job done.
let someone else say. Effective manager. Krishna, how have we defined? You missed the class, didn't get the transparencies.
Sir,
You went to telco. Okay, your excuse. Yes?
I was also not there.
You are not there. Some of you come this side. That's too remote. I can't empathize with you. Come this side. Right here. Come from the back. So, the effective manager spends most of his time, anyone can tell me?
Making things happen, the problem solver.
Making things happen, even the successful.
But he's a problem
He makes things happen. What things? He gets promotions quickly.
He might not do the work, but he gets it done. He solves the problem of their
Yeah.
people.
So, what he means to say, he spends most of his time in doing the human resources activities, all right? That is coaching people, communicating with people, all right? Making teams work. That means his time is spent with his people. And usually, his department's performance, therefore, is always superior. But here is the kind of paradox of human behavior. Whereas we all profess that promotions are always on merit, isn't it? And merit is always defined, whether explicitly or implicitly, on how well your department performs. Isn't that what is the explicit and implicit definition of merit when your boss talks to you? But often you find in organizations that the promotions don't happen that way. This is a big paradox. What is the explanation for the paradox? Explanation is, often we as human beings do not do what we profess to do. Right? Yeah. We don't walk our talk. If you are a manager and you say that in your department all promotions are strictly on merit, will it happen all the time? Think about it. You've done courses on individual and group behavior, right? As often as not, it may not happen that way. There are other considerations which may influence these decisions. And these research findings which say that having described or defined the effective manager and the successful manager, as we have just done, wouldn't it be reasonable to assume logically that whichever manages department is the most successful, he should get the promotions quickly? But research shows it doesn't happen. Okay? Now that we have a reasonable strength in the class, let's come back to an interesting topic which we set out to discuss. See, we are talking of leadership. Okay? And today's topic, we'll summarize leadership and management. But before we do that, what I wanted to ask is, will India lift the World Cup? And there was general consensus that yes, definitely. Are there any people who disagree? Then we can segregate them on this side. Anyone disagrees? No one. You disagree. Just sit one chair that side. You will have to defend the position. All right? Yes. Will India? Will, not can. Will India win? If you disagree, you can join the opposition benches here.
Odds are less than 50%, so it makes more sense to say.
You give me a decision, yes or no.
He's saying no, sir. He
Now you go that side, come this side. Come from the back. All right. Having asked that question, the next question, which begs itself, is there anything that the team and the others who are connected with this effort, can they do anything positively, some actions, which will ensure that definitely we win the World Cup? And then we came to the question, who are those people who are most important? We are talking of leadership, right? This is where, if you have leadership, this is where you show it. So we came to the conclusion is definitely the captain who has a leadership role to play, maybe vice captain, coach, manager, right? Anyone else? The Janta, Aam Janta sitting here, can we lead the team to victory?
Yes,
We can.
there's an example when they were not finding support from outside, they started cuddling each other after every out. The explanation given by Saurav Ganguly was that when we don't find support from outside, we are getting it from our own teammates.
Okay. Was that a leadership action on part of Saurav Ganguly? Something innovative? That you seek strength, you know. Most of these teams, even in rugby and football and so on, what do? They huddle together. That is, they come close for a unity of purpose. It's psychologically to show that we are all together, you are not there alone. Okay. Now, leadership, behavior and leadership, skills are very allied, because skills of leadership, you know, they focus on how you can do some specific behavior in order to get some outcomes. Okay. And we'll talk about it here today. But before we do that, we want to explore a little bit more in depth about the leadership and the management. We have done it once, but I'll just show you again, because this is a very, very contentious issue, if I may say so. See, many gurus will tell you leadership and management is more or less the same, it's simultaneously. You can't have a person who can lead without managing. We are talking of the organizational setting. Okay. Others will say, yes, you can do it, and so on. For the purpose of our previous discussion, if you remember, we had said we will take leader and manager to be the same, to be used synonymously. But for today's purpose, let me show you this. This is in the organizational setting. So, although the two terms, manager and leader, are often used synonymously, there are acknowledged differences between the two functions in the organizational setting. And one distinction which is made here is, it is necessary to manage. Every organization has to be managed, it is necessary, otherwise things will be chaotic, performance will be suboptimal. But is it sufficient? Answer is no. The leading of the organization is a necessary function for continued organizational well-being. Okay? So both necessary and sufficient. Overmanaged and underled organizations head for disaster. You see, it's same. If you have too much of leadership and very little of management, you are always doing the right things, but nothing that you do, you are doing right. That is a recipe for disaster. Any questions? What would you rather do? Half the day you lead and the other half day you manage? These are very important questions. Think through it, because you are all doing MBA. So you are choosing to be a manager, and in managing you will be required to show leadership every now and then.
So they are the skills inherent in people. There are people who can lead and manage both, like Narayan Murthy. But there are people who are good leaders. But for managing, they need the like Mahatma Gandhi was a very good leader. He was a visionary, he was a transformation leader. But we don't associate management with Mahatma Gandhi as much as we do associate the leadership skills.
Here is a proposition. Francis, proposition is Mahatma Gandhi was a great leader, but we have doubts whether he was a good manager. Will you respond to that?
Even then, there were people who were following him, and he was effectively managing the followers. There were many leaders who were looking after him.
Actually, he's choosing the right
He was
people
able to
to
motivate them
manage.
and also manage the leaders who were working under him. He was not involved in all the work.
So what is a single item of work that he did to manage something?
He comes the right people
He
for manage.
groomed his followers.
He managed the big non-corporation movement and pushing them.
So he set out the effectively.
Somehow he needs the management.
So he picked the right people, so that's the role.
That is the
We pick the right people. Is that the role of managing or leading? Managing. What else? He had organizational skills. All right.
He set out personal levels of high integrity, and that motivated people to follow him.
So that's a
Okay.
style only. But ultimately it is management. When you are managing people under you and leading them
So
towards
what are
your-
some of, let's recap a bit. What are some of the activities of a manager? We've talked about it. Planning. Planning is an activity. Agreed or not? What else? Coordinating. Organizing. Leading. Yes. Control. What else? Rewarding. Punishing. Motivating. See, now you come into areas which overlap between the role of leader and role of manager. Motivating. Okay? Isn't that a role which leads into an overlap? Okay? Here is what John P. Kotler offers. His views, whilst management is about coping with complexity. Leadership is about coping with change. Do you agree with this? There are various ways, various authors have looked at it. Complexity, what does he mean by that? Remember, this is organizational setting. What he means by complexity is in an organization, even a small organization, there are many functions and activities which have to be done. They are all interrelated, interdependent. There are issues over which in an organization you have control. There are issues in which you do not have so much control. Right or wrong? You are dealing with systems manned by human beings. There are conflicts within organizations. By limited resources, people within the organization fighting for the same limited resources. So do you agree there is complexity even in a small organization? When you go to larger organizations, which are geographically dispersed, okay, which have got many products and divisions, even if it's in the same country and same location. That means it's laterally dispersed, which because of its very size is vertically tiered, and there are more complexities that come. So, what John Kotler says, good manager, he spends his time and masters the art of dealing with complexities and managing. And he says leader, the distinction is, he doesn't spend too much time there. He looks at change. Who can tell me what is a change? You are operating in a company, all right? What is a change? What is the kind of change which a leader would have to deal with? Imagine, you are sitting in 2003, okay?
Change in product portfolio, change in geography.
Product portfolio. Now, let's pause for a moment. Who agrees that this is what you would say a leader, basic change, product portfolio? Yes? Speak up.
When we are speaking about leadership, first of all, and when change comes into picture,
Yes.
we have to look at the macro level. The changes in the environment in which we are doing business.
Yeah.
For example, you can take an example of, say, in the media, with the coming of internet, how it has changed the way people get news.
Right.
So these are the macro level changes the leadership has to monitor, and they have to keep track of these changes so that they will suitably channelize their strengths and weaknesses to cope up with that change.
Okay.
So another example I think can be say in the case of a company like Telco, where because of increased competition they have had to change their very style of working. They have had to retrench, recruit new people, introduce new management methodologies. So managing these whole.
That is management of the change. But what are you saying? The change is what? Competition?
Change is competition.
Competition? What else? Don't be diffident. You have to speak up.
Changes in technology.
Technology.
Government and
So
policy
changes in how the business works now.
Government policies.
Environment.
Environment means the weather or
Environment means
Social economic, political.
let him say.
environment means in the society in which I am working or my company is working. Environment.
Societal change.
So like your customer becomes
Like more and more girls coming into the workforce, things like that, which was not there earlier. All right, societal change.
So in a business perspective, if the customers become more demanding because of
Greater information.
More demanding customers. Again, something to do with society.
change in customer behavior due to
Now tell me, just stop here for a moment. When you go in a few months and start working in a company, all these things are there. Say by some luck of chance or happenstance, you become CEO of the company in a year or two, which I do hope you will, and then you will come back here and recruit some of our boys, okay? When that happens, you know that all this, you are sitting in the midst of all this, am I right? Everything we have listed down. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, ultimately, is the actions which will determine an outcome. Did we discuss sometime that within change, you can also do another classification. You can do sudden, or you can classify sudden, or sometimes we call it radical. This is an incremental. Would you say this is a radical or incremental change? Product portfolio.
so this is not a change force imposed upon a company from outside. It's
Company
Wait
changing itself.
wait a minute. It's a change. This is the heading here, change. Right? When you change your portfolio within a period of a few years, totally, of course it's a change. Is it radical or incremental? Incremental.
It's in the same line of business.
Can be either. Example?
So it's in the same line of business, then it's an incremental change.
Example. Don't be
Sir,
vague. Be specific.
So you are say,
You are making automobiles,
Yeah,
and suddenly you start making switchgear. Is that kind of a thing?
that
You are making result.
that is radical.
That's radical.
You are an automobile manufacturing.
Does it happen in real life? It does. Example.
Reliance company into Infocom.
From petrochemicals or petrochemicals.
Anchor manufacturing took place.
Now we don't know whether that's right or wrong, but that was a decision they took, obviously to manage some change. Was it a change in itself? When you choose to manufacture something, it's an action, it's an executive action.
It is in response to the changes.
Maybe response to competition, diversification is a response that you do. Okay, in order to keep your company healthy, if you're losing out on the existing products, you want to diversify. Isn't that the main motivation? Give me an example of radical change.
So,
You are going along fine, paying dividend 20%, okay, you have net profit after taxes of 15%, you're in old industry, you're quite happy. You have good reserves.
So Mahindra coming out with timeshare, the holidays, Mahindra resorts.
What are they doing? They are restructuring their business. Is it not? They are diversifying, what we normally say. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that?
To hedge,
You don't want to depend only
They
on
don't want to have all the eggs in the same basket. They started off by being a uni-product company with a nice protected market. They made jeeps, right? Then they went into tractors. That was a license permit Raj. So it was easy to make good profits. When competition came, they looked for other directions where they could A, spread their risk, B, get into businesses which had promise for sustained profitability and which they felt after doing their own SWOT analysis that they would be able to manage successfully. Okay, two things are necessary to make profits. Yes, Palash? What are those two things? Two basic things. One is within. Can you do it? Do you have the strength? Then the other is without. Would you now enter into the jute industry? You might make a profit, but you won't. You will study the industry and say it's a sunset industry. Unlikely to make a profit. And by the same token, you know which are the sunrise industries? Name one. Biotech. Yeah, but is it guarantee if you enter biotech, jump into it, you will make good profits? It doesn't guarantee, because there's always a mixture of the external environment, opportunities or threats are there, and strengths and weaknesses are within. You can change that. You can make an opportunity into a threatening situation if you mismanage. You can make a threat into an opportunity. You can make a strength into a weakness. You can make a weakness into a strength. Okay? And this is where the leadership, when you talk of change, you see what is most difficult when you talk of change is to recognize the change. You have heard of the frog and boiling water syndrome? No? No one has heard. Tell me, Krishna, tell everyone, what is that?
If you put a frog in cold water and you start warming it, because the change is not sudden, it doesn't realize, then gradually remains there until the water boils and it dies.
And the other way around? If you have boiling water and throw a frog into it, what happens? It jumps right out. So, what is the moral of the story? The moral is change is so insidious sometimes, the incremental change, that it is like the heat is turned on slowly. You are within that pot, the water is becoming hotter, the competition is growing, but you still have a few cash cow products, so you are making your profit. Still have some old people who have done good work in the past, but not contributing much, but have been loyal. So it's tough, to remove them and put some new, young, bright MBAs whom you have taken over them. So you keep on doing the same things and hope that things will not change. But one day you die. So the important thing is to recognize if there is a paradigm shift, which is happening in your industry or is happening, in your country. Basically, the underpinnings of your business, is it safe and sound as a foundation, or is suddenly going to be removed and you are going to collapse into a black hole? So, in creating the agenda for the organization, management tasks and concerns lie in the planning, budgeting, systems, time schedules, resource allocation for achieving results. Now, let me hasten to warn you, don't get overly fascinated by leadership, because the bread and butter which you will deliver to your business, whether you start your own business or whether you work for some company, is good, efficient management. Remember, that's the bread and butter. Leadership is important. It has to be done, but not at the cost. You cannot neglect the day-to-day efficient and effective management and operations. In contrast, leadership sets the agenda by conceptualizing a direction for near as well as distant future, by setting a vision as well as defining the means and modalities to achieve it. Any comments on this? In developing the human network, management provides organizing and staffing through appropriate structures and processes. Leadership, on the other hand, draws people towards a grand vision and creates teams, coalitions and networks for its systematic realization. See, this is crucial. And now you see the interconnectivity between the two. If you don't have a vision, what are you going to strive towards? You have some plan, but you don't have a grand vision.
So in effect, we are saying that leadership gives us the goal and management gives the way to achieve it.
Excellent. Can you fault this statement? He says leadership sets the goals. So leadership sets goals and management achieves the same.
So putting this into another framework, sir,
All right.
it would include answering three questions.
Three questions.
Question one: where am I now? Like, which business? What is my experience today? Where do I want to be? And the third question is: how am I going to get there? These are three questions that a leader should answer to himself. Your current position is decided that what are your strengths today. Then you decide your future position based on the spot and the external environment. Based on that, sir, how you are going to get there is the implementation part, which the leader delegates effectively to his manager.
Any responses to this? No responses. All right. Now I come to Avnish. Having discussed all this, why do you say that the leaders in the Indian team cannot make things happen so that India wins the World Cup?
So they can make things happen.
They can? means they can do things which will make them win. They have the skills to do that. They have the skills. Tell me, what are those skills? Specifically, what should they do?
First and foremost is their mental state.
Yeah.
Because normally we see that if one of the batsmen says Sachin Tendulkar gets out, everybody gets out very cheaply.
Okay.
So the first and foremost thing they should do is to prepare themselves in a way so that they deliver themselves individually and not depend on one person as a
How?
team.
What should Saurabh do? Give a party? Huh? Huh? Say, okay boys, take a break. Take a break. Let's have a party. Huh? What else? What does he do?
Make them mentally strong.
Mentally strong. How? What skill does he require to do that?
Feel the participants that you can do it. First of all, that is needed.
Talk to them, communicate, give a pep talk.
So telling them that you have already done it in the past, so you can still do it in these matches or earlier matches.
Talk to them powerfully, giving examples. Huh? So you communicate, you talk. So again and again we are coming back to this. Whether you want to be an excellent manager, successful manager, effective manager, great leader, this communication seems to be a common denominator. Would you agree? Those side communicators sitting at the back who are constantly communicating amongst themselves there. Huh? Do you agree? They are the intern club. Devarshan, Francis. What are the skills besides communication for exhibiting leadership? Yes, Krishna? Motivate. How do you motivate? Through example, for instance? Huh? Through communication again. Conviction. Huh?
Motivation by example is the most important thing I feel. Because
Huh?
see the captain's mental frame. He is not having a good run. His form is not good. So he is worrying more or less about his form than he's diverting his energies towards worrying about his form than motivating his team.
So what should he do? Step down, becoming a non-playing captain?
He should get his form back. Because he can, first of all, he should motivate himself. Yes.
So you say
Mental form. He said mental. Say you are the psychologist of the team. Now listen, gentlemen. You are the psychologist of the team. You want them to perform and win the cup. So you have to take on a leadership role now. Although you have expert power, you are a psychologist. What are you going to tell them?
I think that Ganguly has that aggression in himself.
Yeah.
And he is able to
Sher
infuse
hai,
that.
Royal Bengal Tiger.
Yes, sir. And he is able to infuse that aggression in everybody in the team. And because of that, the team performance has moved up. You can see that in the Champions Trophy. You can see it now, sir. So overall, he is a good captain. But per se, he is not in form, sir. So that we should not take it as the center.
So I think he has already shown the mental strength. Even after not having a good run, he has consistently made his boys perform and win the matches. And that's what is required. You might not get many good leaders, like even Sachin was something back a captain. When his form was not he was not having a good run, the Indian team started losing matches, which is not happening at this time.
Okay. I think we are coming to the conclusion, gentlemen.
So even now,
There is no panacea. There is no prescription. Right?
But,
For leadership.
but this is certain that we need to have performing leaders.
It is not necessary. Mike Brady is an example. Mike Brady was a good captain.
Can we not Can we avoid a free for all? I want to pinpoint on what he said, I think just now, that we need to have performing leaders.
No, but he's trying to compensate it by bowling, right? He's trying to improve upon that.
But maybe he's trying to perform better. Maybe he's diversifying his product. That if I can't bat, at least I'll get a few wickets.
So he's not able to perform in batting. So he knows that. So somehow he has to perform. So what he's doing is trying to excel in that. I mean, just...
What is your view, Polash? Tell me. No, I'm saying leadership required to ensure that we win the World Cup. What are the skills that you require? Leadership skills.
Many of them are mentioned here. You must be a good motivator, and I think in today's modern cricket, you've got to be very aggressive and mentally very tough. I think those are the skills.
Basically, those are the skills. And how and when you do it is probably the art. So as I was saying a little while ago, there doesn't seem to be a clear cut, leadership in 5 easy steps. It's just not there. It's overlapping. So do you think all of you will become good leaders? Or you're already good leaders?
So we mean to say much depends on the circumstances.
Situation specific also is there. Haven't you heard and haven't you seen? History tells us that in times of adversity, leaders are thrown up. People, particularly in war, is it not? There are many people whom you'd never think could exhibit such valor and courage and so on. But they excel when the time comes.
But history is always written by winners. So they inflate what they did.
Yeah, but then you've got scholars, who analyze also. Right? In executing the agenda, management deploys control systems and problem-solving methods with built-in corrective mechanisms. Leadership, on the other hand, uses the strategy of motivating and inspiring people. So far, we didn't say inspiring, right? Management uses and canalizes the physical resources of the organization, like capital, human skills, raw materials and technology. Leadership draws on the emotional and spiritual resources. This is something new. But think about it. Great leaders, right, even in the organization setting, isn't that what they have been able to do? Touch an emotional chord. To do that. How do you do that? Maybe due to communication.
So saying on the media that Indian team is not fit, and we can actually get to win the match against Pakistan. What a bad thing to do after we see the results.
So what is the point you're making?
So that that's the emotional cord.
That's the emotional cord.
The leader should be able to identify himself with the other person so that he can understand him better. That way, he will be able to identify the points where he can touch.
So you have to touch values, commitment, aspiration by ushering in empowerment. So don't you think a leader would also have to have certain good values, integrity?
Yes, sir. He should be a role model.
Should. Can you think of any rascal who has also become a great leader? Would you call him a leader or a criminal? The prince amongst thieves. Huh? Yes.
What's the difference between motivating and inspiring?
Yeah. All right. That's a good question. Anyone would like to answer that before I offer my comments?
Before that, I would like to answer.
Okay. Let's hear you.
Robin Hood. He's from the societal point of view, he's a thief, but at the same time, he's a leader from the different perspective.
It's again who is writing the history.
Hey, from where you are, that's
Again who is writing
He's
the
a very
history.
good
He
leader.
is a
at
hero
the
for
same
the
time.
small classes. He is a great leader for the small classes. But
Accepted,
if
but he's a leader. That
But
is
why go so far back in time and space? Look at Veerappan.
Yeah, even Veerappan.
Right? Would you say Veerappan is a great leader? Why not?
He's a leader for his team.
Because
Yes.
your values are not right.
He's a leader for his team.
Gentlemen, this is a question which is debated again and again and again and again. So, what is the difference? Was Hitler a great leader?
Of course.
Of course, very good leader. But then,
Sir, that's my point.
why is that the word, you're a Hitler, have a bad connotation?
Yeah, when- this is
Ethical. Alright, so now we come to this core word. Are you listening back there?
Yes, sir. Integrity. One of the skills in the previous. We are making a list. So.
Ethical. Huh? Whenever you want to do something, take an action, you have something called a little conscience sitting out there or not? Huh? Sometimes the conscience tells you that you shouldn't be doing it. So one way some gurus have defined what is ethical to be done in an organizational setting is what you are doing. Would you be ashamed if it were published in the newspapers? If you would be ashamed, then it's not ethical. Don't do it.
Is not ashamed of any act which he has done.
Pardon me?
Hitler was not ashamed of any act he has done.
Right.
So that means all he did were ethical things.
No, sir.
And he is a great leader.
He did
That
have
is
the
the case.
conscience to understand
His
what is
conscience,
ethical.
conscience, it is better we define that conscience.
Some
Because
people say that-
conscience of any person cannot be good. And
Some people say that he was a dangerous lunatic. That means he was a madman. Right? Hitler has also been labeled as a madman.
But the Nazis consider him to be a true leader because
If he
they are
would be a
supporting
winner.
his cause.
If he would be a winner, would you call him a madman?
So madman leading a mad pack. That's what some people say. So all Nazis.
then suddenly those mad pack became good people after the war was over, and those people who were following became.
Not those who were considered or who were involved in war crimes, like the Holocaust, isn't it? I think the main issue that happened, that he tried to do genocide, mass extermination. Now, I don't think under any kind of logic you can defend that. Can you? Mass extermination of 2-3 million people. Okay, coming back to this, ethical, I think normally when we say he's a great leader or a great manager, what we try to do is put a framework against which to test his actions. And usually if the action is more or less motivated by getting some private gain, all right, we say that it is not a very ethical thing, he is not a great leader. And on the other hand, if the action is motivated by uplifting society or doing some, after all, think about the leaders whom we talk as leaders.
All these points, all these criteria to judge whether a particular behavior is ethical or not. In our ethics class, like utilitarianism and Kant's theory of universalizability and reversibility, and whether the same behavior, if it is done by others, whether the same person will accept it, the same behavior which he does, and whether the same thing, if it is done on him, whether he is going to accept it or not. So those sort of things can be criteria to judge the.
But the issue becomes when you are actually working in the organization. That's the issue, right? How do you then come to peace with what is your value of ethical behavior?
So you got to detach yourself from the system. Once take yourself out and then see. Then your thinking is not biased.
Yeah.
My doubt is this.
Yeah.
From the organization point of view, probably you have to do some other things, which from the societal point of view is wrong. So which way you will take it? As a leader of the organization, probably you have to take the organization and you have to lead. And at the same time, from the other point of view, what you are doing is wrong. So, how can you?
Subset of part of society.
Yeah, part of society.
Yes.
You have to work for the benefit of the society.
Maybe the answer lies in taking the middle path. I mean, there are some organizations which in your mind, when you talk of an organization, immediately your response is that it's a good, ethical, reputed organization. Whereas there are others which brings to your mind the reverse, is it not? They are existing in the same societal milieu and the same environment. So the answer probably is that there are ways in which you can do ethical business in an organization, all right, at the cost of something. You have to determine what is that cost. Okay? Now, good management therefore produces planned and predicted outcomes. Predicted outcome is what? Your targets, budgets. If you do well, you fulfill the budget, you exceed the budget. Good leadership achieves substantive change in attitudes, culture, and inspires the organization to deal and adapt successfully to the changed paradigms in the environment. So our good managers' work and outcome can be more easily measured. A good leaders cannot be that easily measured. So what do you want to become? Make your choice now. Good manager, preferably a successful manager, or good leader and an effective manager.
Sir, I'm still confused about the difference between inspiring and motivating.
Anyone would like to answer that, or I'll tell him? Inspiration and motivation.
Inspiration from within.
One at a time.
So motivation is which is being provided from outside. Inspiration is something from within.
So motivation.
All right, one moment. Let's hear a few responses. Yes, Deva.
So motivation means for a particular task. One can be motivated to do certain things, while inspiration can be from, you can draw inspiration from something and it may not be related to one single task.
It can be vice versa also.
So what is that point? I have not understood what you are saying.
What I am saying is that a motivation, when we speak about motivation, it is with the particular task in hand. While when somebody is inspired, outcome may not be known. While in motivation, when we motivate, we are motivating him towards a certain goal.
The point he is making is goal. Motivation must have a goal in view. Inspiration may not have any goal. Is that what you are saying? Any other responses? Yes?
Inspiration, it seems as though is a pull from front and motivation is a drive from back.
Okay. What about this? You hear people say that suddenly I have an inspiration. What does that mean?
There are three terms: encouragement, motivation, and inspiration. These three are reactions of an individual at three levels. The encouragement is a reaction from the brain, motivation is from the heart, and inspiration is from the soul.
What is soul? Soul. Motivation from the heart. Tell me. All right, let me tell you what my view is. Inspiration is an outcome of something which you have not thought through. Okay? It is a sudden flash of light by which you get convinced that there is something which should be done in the company. All right? Whereas motivation is an outcome which is more gradual and it is coming due to a thinking through process. So in a sense, an inspiration is something which you get spontaneously, and then as a leader you try to imbibe other people through the same inspiration. Motivation is something you can think through, say we have to achieve this, and therefore I have to motivate people by achieving. So it may be a difference in order, and the source is different. That's my view.